Godzilla and King Kong are ready to share the screen yet again in Godzilla vs. Kong: The New Empire, coming out on March 29th. This movie is a direct sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong, which was released in 2021. As the fans hype up the release of the Godzilla vs. Kong sequel, Deadline recently released the current projections, which are surprisingly on the low side. The movie is expected to gross $45 million on its opening weekend, thus pushing the Monsterverse franchise beyond the $2 billion mark at the worldwide box office. Early reviews from people that have seen the pre-release have been mixed, with mostly negative reviews coming out. It will be hard for audiences and critics alike to not compare the movie to Godzilla Minus One, especially since Godzilla Minus One won awards recently. I think it's not a fair comparison though. Godzilla vs. Kong: The New Empire is more of a smash-them-up action movie, a popcorn flick, totally different than Godzilla Minus One. So let's take a look at some of the early reviews of Godzilla vs. Kong: The New Empire. Director Takeshi Yamasaki, the director of Godzilla Minus One, had a chance to watch the movie early, and this was his review posted on X. It's a super fun and gorgeous movie. Be sure to watch it on the big screen. Pretty short and simple with no spoilers. It's fun and gorgeous. Go watch it. Another reviewer on X, Vera Anon, gave his review, writing, "I somehow saw Godzilla vs. Kong without being embargoed, so here are my thoughts. It's the weakest legendary Monsterverse movie, but I still had a good time with it, and hope to see these goofballs again. Many of my issues come down to the Scar King, who's a lame baddie that never feels like an actual threat. Ghidorah wouldn't have broken a sweat murdering this dude with two heads sleeping. It also runs into the problem where it lacks scale and big moments. There's a big Hollow Earth fight with wonky gravity, and because the monsters are mostly by themselves, they may as well be 6 feet tall." Another ex-user, GameBoy287, reviewed the critical response to the Godzilla vs. Kong: The New Empire movie. The critics were not impressed with the project. GameBoy287 wrote, "I spoke with 4 critics who saw Godzilla vs. Kong at a pre-release screening. All of them compared it unfavorably to Minus One, and called it an average Monsterverse flick. Who are these 4 critics? Who knows, but this user brought up an issue that will probably be very common with other reviews, and that is comparing it to Godzilla Minus One, and how much crappier this movie is in comparison. The review embargo for this movie will lift on Monday night, and more reviews will be hitting social media. Despite the possible bad reviews, if the movie does well financially, film director Adam Wingard has expressed his interest in another Godzilla Kong crossover, as he shared in an interview with Discussing Film. I definitely think there's more story to this, and I think that I have more story to tell, but it depends on how the movie does and how things kind of shape out." He continued, "I know that sounds like a BS diplomatic answer, but the truth is, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I do have more story to tell with these monsters, and I know where I'd go with it. I would be very excited to be able to come back for another one if things worked out." How do you guys think this movie will do? Are you guys excited for the movie? Let me know in the comments.